I'm up here on my higher perspective looking down on you, monkeys. Just don't be like, bus! Lamppost! Because you're likely to have people crossing over the street to avoid you. You are consciousness. Whatever you decide that might be. As far as you're aware, that's all that exists. That's all that's out there. You experience from your own unique perspective, from your own experience, is the only thing that you're able to 99.9% be certain exists or is real. It's quite simply, as far as you can prove, everyone and everything else that you see might be a figment of your imagination or an elaborate hoax designed by either yourself or some other higher form of intelligence from a different dimension. We're going off track a bit here. But if you've only experienced your own ever experienced your own probably blinkered view from your own perspective, from inside of you, how can you be sure of what exists anywhere else? For sure. How can you be certain? See, as we know, everything that you can see, hear, touch, feel, it's all just information that's been translated in the brain to create this experience that we're all having, yeah? When you see something, this is just light translated and projected onto the back of the eye. And then translated into information, which is then mixed up by the brain and then creates what we think is the experience that we're having. Now, who is to say that anything actually exists outside of this experience, this image, these senses, these electrical impulses that are being projected onto the back of your brain? Who's to say it? Now, the answer is, I don't actually think we can 100% prove that anything outside of our own experience, our own internal experience, is real, and that none of this is actually just a simulation or, you know, a hologram. We do live in a holographic universe. Science is on target with that now, so science is backing that up now. So it all makes a lot more sense when you think of it that way. But we can attempt to understand the actual experience that we're having, and have that as a way to enjoy it more. And we can learn from this experience that we're having, since, albeit real or not real, it doesn't really matter. Because in the grand scheme of things, the whole idea of having the experience is just to experience it. Now, the understanding that consciousness is everything that is and ever has been, will bring us to a better understanding. Once you understand that, it'll help us gain some clarity on the pretty much over-asked question of the meaning of life. Now, the answer might come as a bit of an anticlimax for some, who are expecting some great enlightenment once this amazing secret is unleashed to the lucky few. But to others, it might be like a big sigh of relief once you realise that the whole reason for living, the whole reason for being here, is just to experience. Yep, that's right, the whole idea of living is just to live, guys, to the best of your ability, or the worst of your ability, depending on what your perspective is, which is a different thing entirely. Now, the whole idea of an experience is just to simply experience it. That's why they call it an experience. Shock horror. So there's no destiny for you to fulfill, there's no pre-programmed anywhere for you to go. I'm sorry to say, for everybody who's, you know, oh, my destiny's this, my destiny's that. No, that's just what you feel in your soul that you want to do, which is fine. That's the best route for you to go, that's the best plan for you to do, but it's not pre-programmed. You know, and my work with the law of attraction, and many other people's work with the law of attraction, have proved that if it is pre-programmed, we're certainly able to reprogram it depending on our desires. Absolutely, 100%. But I digress. So yeah, so this whole thing is just to experience the experience, guys. You're welcome. End scene. End of the video. Done. I'm only kidding. Obviously, I don't just put out 5-minute videos, we know that. I like to talk forever and put out 3-hour videos and batter your heads with lots of information as much as I can. I really need to learn how to talk less. I mean, the amount of batteries I go through talking to this camera, the amount of batteries I go through talking to you guys, it's insane. And I've got to go out tonight to do an investigation. I've got to charge these batteries up before I go. In about 3 hours time. Right, so moving on, so think for a moment that nothing exists, right? It's the beginning of the universe, it's the beginning of all of the universes, none of the universes exist. And you're just like a ball of energy, right? Or a ball of consciousness. Let's just say you're a ball of consciousness. The only consciousness that exists. Alright, a single ball of consciousness with loads of potential. Now this ball of potential consciousness is made up with all things love. So the most amazing love, the most amazing everything. There it is, right, that's you. Brilliant, good for you, well done you. But obviously because you are the only thing that exists, you're only really conscious. I can't control my tongue today. So since you're the only thing that exists, you're only really consciously aware of yourself, because there's nothing else to be aware of, right? So if you're the only thing that exists at that particular moment in time, well, actually, thinking of it, time doesn't exist yet either, because that's something that happens here on Earth, but that's another thing entirely. Now, it sounds amazing to be, you know, only aware of peace, love, happiness, and all these amazing things, but how can you actually appreciate or be aware of how great these things are if you've got nothing to compare it against? See, contrast is everything. It really is. Contrast is everything. It's more important than a lot of you think. This is why we have the ups and downs and you know, the polarity and the different perspectives and things like that. So so all of these amazing things that you are, all of these amazing things that you're currently experiencing is this one ball of ultimate consciousness. That becomes your baseline. That's the only thing you've got to compare anything against. So you're not going to understand how amazing you are unless you have something to compare it against, and that's when we bring on the experience. So you as consciousness made the decision to experience reality from a different perspective. So you created reality. This reality. To be used as a form of contrast so that you can experience yourself from that contrasting perspective. Are you with us? So not only did you create your own perspective, you created all the different many perspectives that you can see so that you can actually look at this experience from all the different multiple experiences from the different multiple perspectives, which go together and give knowledge to the one consciousness, the one universal consciousness, which is ultimately you. This is getting bizarre, but it is the way it is. I know you're following. If you're not following, ask us questions in the comments below. I know this gets a little bit silly. If this is flipping your paradigm on its head, brilliant, because that needs to happen at some point. We'll rattle on, we'll get to the end of it, and we'll clear some points up once we get to the end. And we're just really experiencing ourselves from our own individual perspectives under the illusion of separation. So with that in mind then, who do you recognise as yourself? And how do you know you when you see it? Now the way the mind works is there's two dialogues going on in your head every day. So you've got the mind chatter, your inner voice, and this is the one that comments on the things around you. This is the one that gives judgment, passes comment, gives you the emotion about how you're feeling about things. Now this inner voice is the one that's knee deep in the game. The game, that's what I call the experience. The experience is, this is just the game. So this inner voice, it's stuck in the game, it's playing the game, it's rolling the dice, it's observing the game, it doesn't know of anything else. It's the voice that's completely consumed by the experience. And then there's the mind above this mind, the other mind. The mind that's above the trivial mind, the watcher. So once you realise that you're actually having an experience, you can start to watch yourself having the experience. Now this watcher, this higher mind, is the actual you. And once you can separate these two minds and you can live more so in your watcher mind, that's when you can start to become the real you, guys. You know, the real you. This is when you can become the real you, guys. The one that's not controlled by ego, the one that's not affected by how they react to things I mean, that's got its place, of course, in the game, because we're still living in the game. We've got to experience it and enjoy the game. But you're not emotionally affected by it. Like, you can see things, and you can know what they are, but you don't judge them. Like, alright, so I'm looking outside now, and we've got a chair. Garden chair. So there's a garden chair, but I'm not thinking, oh, there's a garden chair, but do I like the colour of the garden chair, or will I, should I get a different garden chair? Is it as good as my neighbour's garden chair? It's just a garden chair, right? So it becomes really, really nice not having to experience the game on what your monkey mind, your mind chat has been pre-programmed in all these years to think and react. Because it's no secret that ever since you've been born, you've been getting constantly programmed to think a certain way. We all know that. It's not hidden. It's just the way it is. So it's revelations like this that makes you want to pull your arm through the door, through the wall, grab the dog, have a stern word with it, put it back in the house and say, stop barking. Why is it every time? Every single time I turn this camera on, it kicks off. I hate next door's dog. Ugh. I can't wait to get our dog, We'll get our dog, and our dog can just sit in the garden and look at next door's dog and tell it to shut up. Because my dog's going to be trained, well, to be a good dog. Imagine that. Imagine training your dogs to be good dogs. And not bark at everything. Not to bark at leaves falling from trees. I mean, imagine that, eh? Crazy. I think I'm losing the track a bit here. Yeah, so I'll probably repeat myself a few times here, which I'll change during editing, but I'm losing track because I'm talking about other things. It's just what I do. Guys, I'm sure by now you're used to us going off on mad tangents, but yeah, it is what it is, right? So you'll come to realise that once you're in the perspective of the watcher mind, that you're no longer controlled by the monkey mind and the ego, you're going to have a hell of a better time of it. A hell of a better time of it, guys. You'll just feel so liberated once you can see the world through clear eyes. Yes, the monkey mind's got its place. It's, the reptile mind, whatever you want to call it. It's here for a reason. This is the one that keeps you alive in this experience. Like, it's the one that keeps you staying out of trouble. It just does. Like, yes, ego has its place. But use it as a tool that it is. So long as you're not controlled by it, then you're winning. Turn it on and off as you can. All this talk about coming away from your experience and just, being in the higher consciousness from the watcher perspective doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with the experience. I'm not knocking this life experience. It's pretty marvellous. Like, yes, it has its ups and downs, but, once you've got this knowledge, which again isn't hidden knowledge, this is just stuff that people have known for years, just obviously the powers that be have tried to keep it from you because they don't want you to know that you're not trapped in the experience. I'm here to tell you now, guys, that you're absolutely not trapped in the experience. There's a massive world outside of this blinkered view of day-to-day living. Honestly, like, I'm not bullshitting. Get out of this perspective and see all the amazing things that's out there. Once you look over the wall, once you peer through that veil, it gets crazy, like good crazy though. There's just insane things out there, man. It's amazing. I know I sound like a nut job right now, but I don't really care because I'm speaking the truth. All this channel is for is speaking the truth. So just, it is what it is. I can't change it. This is the truth. So what I tend to do is I'll spend a lot of the time, in me higher perspective. I hate saying that. Me higher perspective. I'm up here in my higher perspective, looking down on you, monkeys. Just be more mindful and be aware of what the moment is. I mean, being in the moment has massively got its place, which I'm going to get to in a minute. And you can experience all of the moments that are happening at the same time from this perspective. And then if you see a part of the experience that you actually want to get totally consumed by because it's fun, because it's good, dive into it. Put your mind into it, focus into it. That's very much a Zen thing, isn't it? So like, if you're doing something, do it 100%. If you're going to choose to experience the experience for whatever portion of time that you're going to do that for, do it 100%. Don't be flitting like half, because then you'll just mess up and you'll not enjoy either of it. And you'll be too scatty-minded, which I had a lot of time of being scatty-minded, believe it or not, can you imagine? And You know, so when you're going to experience a little portion of the experience, dive into 100%, be very zen, 100% focused into it. And then once that's done, don't sit there and be consumed by the other things that are getting thrown at you, the programming side of it, you know, where they're trying to make you think a certain way. Come back out of it and come back into your watch your mind, higher perspective, and pick and choose which parts of the experience that you 100% focus on. So there's been mindful and there's been focused. It's a different thing. Of course, you can't be sitting in the higher consciousness all the time because it's going to be absolutely exhausting, and you're not enjoying the experience. So here's an exercise for you to do. This is quite an interesting exercise to do, and I'll do this quite often when I just want to clear my mind. I just want to shut off from all thought, all judgment, and I just want to experience. Because it can go the other way, like what I'm talking about, experiencing the experience in 100% without having your mind chatter going, that gets in the way. This is a good little walking meditation that I do quite often if I'm going, you know, down the woods or whatever. So like the next time you go somewhere, when you're walking, like even just walking to the shop, once you get there, try to think how much of the journey you've actually just experienced. How much of it can you remember? Can you remember the things that you walked past? Things that you saw? Probably not. You'd probably draw a blank and you're just at your destination, because from getting from A to B, you were probably thinking about all the things that you've got to do or have done or whatever, and then you magically appear at your destination and you're like, wow, all I've done is just thought about my concerns all the way through. So a good thing to do when you're on your journey, doesn't matter how long or short it is, you know, it's quite good for just 5-minute jaunts or whatever. When you're walking past things and you see things, call them out. But don't be like a nutter with Tourette's. Don't be like, bus, lamppost, because you're likely to have people crossing over the street to avoid you. But you know, you can just say them in your mind. You can say bird or whatever, person. But just try and say these things, but don't label them. Don't think about you feeling towards that thing. Just try and say what they are, and that's it. They are what they are. They're perfect in what they are. You know, cloud. It's a cloud. Like what the late great Alan Watts said. Something to the effect of, you never see an imperfect. Oh, I think it was waves. Actually, was it waves? You never see an imperfect wave. A wave is a wave. A wave is what it is. It comes in many different shapes and sizes. I suppose it goes the same for clouds as well. You know, there's loads of different shapes, colours, fluffinesses, different fluffiness. But you never say, oh, that cloud doesn't look like that, mind you. That's not a perfect cloud, that. They're all perfect in their own special way. So then we get back to the point of safe. So now that we're doing this exercise of actually being in the present moment, observing things as we walk past them, calling them out, not thinking of, now because we're calling all these different things out, these objects, these smells, sounds, you can say it was sounds or whatever, because we're doing that, we're occupying the mind and we're not thinking about all the other stupid stuff which we could probably think about another time, right? So we're doing that. So at this particular moment in time, we can definitely say that that moment exists because we're in it. And as far as we're concerned, no other moment exists anywhere else apart from what we're experiencing. And it's like when you're playing a video game and the map hasn't rendered yet. The rest of that map doesn't exist as far as you know, as far as you care, because you can't see it. So it might not load up at all, it might not be there at all. So I guess that kind of brings us back to simulation theory a little bit. Because from our experience, all we can experience is the present moment, we've got to really say that the past and the future doesn't exist. I mean, obviously we know that the past did exist because we've been there, but it did exist, doesn't exist now. And the future is going to, it has a potential to exist, but doesn't exist now. Unless, of course, we're talking about parallel dimensions, where there's an alternate me that did something in the future, but what we're talking about is this experience in this universe. So in this universe, with this experience that we're having from our perspective, the past and the future doesn't exist yet. All we can really see is the now. Now this separation and realisation of the difference between the mind chatter, the ego self and your actual conscious self. You know, once you can get your head around that, the fact that mind chatter is not real, it's just a figment of your imagination, or it's a projection of future events that you presume are going to happen, or a replay of past events. which quite often lead to things like anxiety. I mean, often past events affect the way that you think about what's going to happen in future events, and more often than not, people have massive anxiety about future events that they think are going to happen, and then it turns out that they don't even happen at all. And all of this anxiety that they had in the now was an absolute waste of emotion, a waste of energy, made them feel like shit, and they regret that they even put that much thought into it. So why not focus more on the now as a form of meditation for you? Now I'm going to go into a series linked to this one to do with meditation. We're going to go back into manifestation as well. I'm unsure yet as to what channel I'm going to put this on. I don't know if I'm going to put this on the main channel, because obviously that's mainly spooky things, talking to ghosts and whatnot. But it is manifestation. It is related to, you know, it's the occult as well. You know, it's hidden knowledge, so I could put it on this channel. Or I'm thinking about starting a new channel, mostly for things like mindfulness and wellness. Let me know what you think I should do. If you're happy for me to put stuff like this on this channel, then I'll do that. If you'd rather me just post it on a separate channel, then I'll do that. It's up to you lot. I just want to put content out that you want to see. But I want to put content out that isn't only entertaining like some of my other stuff. I want to put stuff out that's useful for you as well. I want to give value to you. Like, you know, there's a lot of, and I want to help people. You know, I've spent a lot of my life helping people, be it fitness, mindfulness, meditation, you know, stuff like this, consciousness, getting people's heads right. So I want to do a bit of both. You know, I'll entertain you, we'll do this, we'll learn about the spirit world, and we'll learn about ghosts and things and the occult. But I also want to help people with their own minds, make them feel better in themselves, and just help them get through this experience and to the next one as smoothly as possible, which is ultimately what this is all about. So yeah, practice being in the now more. Practice not falling off the edge of the sofa. I'm perched on the top of the sofa just because I wanted to get the lighting right, and it was getting noisy and stuff like that, and the trials and tribulations of a YouTuber. And now there's a chopper, helicopter thing flying over. I need to move to the country. Can somebody buy us a house in the country, please? You know, I've got a Patreon account. If any nice soul wants to give us enough money to buy a nice big house in the country, away from all this noise, so I can make better videos, please, please, please. Thank you. I'll buy you a Christmas card. So why not use it? So why not try this walking meditation yourself? See what you think about it. Try it out for yourself. Yes, I started this video talking about this experience not being 100% real, but it is real as far as the experience goes. I just want you to know the distinction between this kind of holographic experience that you're having and the higher consciousness experience that you're having there. This goes into a lot of the spiritual work that we do, a lot of the the paranormal stuff that we do. It's all linked into it. So there is a link in, guys. I'm not just going random with mad subjects. There is always a link to everything that I do on my channel with all of these videos. So try it out. This oneness meditation that you do. It doesn't have to be done walking about. You can do it seated as like a normal meditation. A great way that I often do is I'll sit, obviously in silence if you can get any. But then if you can't get any silence, you can actually use the noise, the outside noise, as like you can use that as a point of focus, you know. You can point out those things. So you can sit, and if you can hear the birds outside, which is quite a nice noise anyway, but you can sort of say, right, there's some birds, and then you can kind of expand your focus out, and then you can hear people talking in the gardens, and then you can go further out and you can hear like traffic on the motorway, and then you can hear like, I don't know, a ship's horn miles away. Try and expand your field of consciousness, perception, get it all in, and then slowly bring it back in, so you get closer and closer, just focusing on these different points. And it's really, really good at helping you get your focus, which is really, really important for meditation, and especially important for things like manifestation. It all interlinks, it all plays together, it all works together to make everything work better. Trust us, guys. So you'll bring the focus back into yourself, and then once you bring that focus back into yourself, you then go inward into yourself, into your own mind. You're then shutting out the other noise, and you're trying to hear your own inner noise. Now sometimes you might hear like an inner buzz. If you really, you know, sometimes when it's really, really quiet and there's literally no noise anywhere, and all you can hear is there's like a little high-pitched buzz inside your head. Try and focus on that. If it's quiet enough, and if you're lucky enough to be able to hear that, focusing on that. And what you'll notice is that inner buzz gets louder and louder, and picture it in your mind getting bigger and bigger and bigger until it encompasses your whole sort of space. And then once you do that, it's a little trick that I like to use. Once you do that, you're completely zoned in to yourself. Not zoned out, you're zoned in to yourself. Do that for, I don't know, 10 minutes, 5, 10 minutes, 15, 20 minutes. And before you know it, you're starting to have different levels of consciousness. Sometimes you might even have an out-of-body experience. You can, if you're focused on it, you can actually project. There's any amount of things you can do. And it all starts from being in the moment. So you go from doing being in the moment meditation to doing the complete opposite, and separating yourself from the moment and having mad adventures elsewhere in the astral realm or whatever you want to go. You know, but in order to be able to separate yourself from this version of reality, you have to experience this version of reality at its fullest. You have to be aware of what that is before you're going to be able to separate yourself from it. And as I mentioned before, once you're able to focus, it doesn't matter if you're focusing on this reality or the higher reality, when you're going back to doing things like manifestation, these training techniques I'm giving you to practice focusing on different points of our version of reality are really, really, really going to help you when you're focusing on changing your reality and focusing on the desires that you want to manifest using the different techniques that I'm going to outline in future videos, and similar to the techniques that I've outlined in a previous video, Money Magic video I believe it's called. I'll put a link up there so you can have a look at it, and then we'll move on to other things as well, and then we'll move into to enlisting the help of other spiritual entities who are around us all the time, befriending them and getting their influence to help us do things. But I've totally gone off track there, totally. I started talking about this being an experience and this being a game, and then of course true to form I've gone back to talking about manifesting and the occult and spirits and things. But hey, typical me in it. Right then, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to charge this battery back up and get my lights all charged up, because I've got to go and do another investigation tonight. In about we've got about 2-3 hours, and then I'm off out. Should be interesting, this one. I think we're going to get a bit more ballsy with future investigations, like I said I was going to be at the beginning of this whole channel. We're not messing about now. We're going to get to the bottom of some of these places and see exactly what it is that's kicking about. But I'll tell you all about that in the next video. Right guys, let me know, as I said before, let me know if you want this kind of stuff in this channel, or if you'd rather that I've started a separate channel for it. I hope this helped in any way, shape or form. I don't know what's the matter with my mouth today. I just can't speak for shit. I just can't speak today. I don't really know what it is. I mean, it's going to be an issue if I'm going to continue to make videos if I can't speak. But if you did get value from this and you're new to my channel, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so that you don't miss any future content, and I'll see if I can bring any more value to you in future videos. Let me know if there's any topics similar to this that you want me to go over. I'm always open to questions. I'm going to be doing a Q&A on YouTube and also TikTok lives very soon, or regularly I think, because I've done one before on Instagram. I think I did a live QA on Instagram last year and it went really, really well, and got some really, really good interesting questions. So this year I'm going to be doing it either on Instagram or YouTube, or possibly both. Again, you let me know what you'd like to do. Drop me some questions. You can either inbox them to me Instagram, inbox them to me TikTok, or put them in the comments down below. Either way, I'll compile your questions, we'll put them together, and then I'll see if I can do my best to answer them for you in a future video coming to you real soon. As always, send you massive, massive, massive amounts of gratitude for watching me on your YouTubeness, and I'll see you after I've recorded tonight's spooky goings-ons. Take care, love yous, take it easy.